In the end, the family that chooses truth over comfort becomes stronger than the storm. I never expected our family reunion to become the night everything fell apart. I thought it would be a peaceful weekend. A simple gathering in a rented lodge in the mountains of Tennessee. Fresh air. Old memories. Barbecue smoke drifting in the yard. Kids running around with sparklers. Nothing dramatic. Nothing heavy. Just family. But families are never as simple as we pretend they are. And mine was holding a secret big enough to ruin all of us. The drive up felt normal. The trees were turning bright orange. The radio played country songs. And for once I felt hopeful. I had spent years avoiding my family. Years building distance. Years pretending I was fine. Years swallowing old hurts. But this time, I was ready to try again. My sister Emma texted me while I was still an hour away. She wrote, "Hurry up, Slowpoke, everyone's already here." I smiled. She was the only person who could still make me feel like a kid. The only one who ever saw me. The real me. When I finally pulled into the gravel driveway of the lodge, everyone was already outside. My cousins grilling. My aunts preparing tables. My uncle blasting music too loud. Typical. Messy. Chaotic. But warm. I stepped out of my car. And for a moment, just a moment, felt like home. My mom came over first. She hugged me tightly. Tighter than usual. Her arms were shaking. I didn't think much of it. I just thought she was emotional from seeing me. We hadn't been close for years. Work. Arguments. Misunderstandings. Distance. Life just pulled us apart. She whispered, "I'm glad you're here, baby." And for the first time in a long time, I believed her. Inside the lodge, everyone was laughing, talking over each other, pouring drinks. The air smelled like grilled chicken, cinnamon candles, and warmth. But something was off. People kept glancing at me, like they were waiting for something, like they were scared of something. I brushed it off. My brother Mark was leaning near the fireplace, arms crossed, eyes low. I hadn't spoken to him in almost a year. One that never healed. But I walked over anyway. I said, "Hey man, long time." He barely looked at me, just muttered, "Yeah, long time." Something in his voice was sharp, cold, almost angry. Emma rushed between us, trying to break the tension. She handed me a drink and said, "Come outside. There's something we want to show everyone later." A surprise. Her tone, her eyes, her nervous smile. It all felt strange, forced. But I followed her back outside. The sun was setting, the mountains glowing gold, the kind of place where you should feel peace. But my stomach was tightening, a slow twisting feeling, like something was coming, something I wasn't prepared for. My uncle announced dinner. Everyone gathered, plates full, kids still screaming and laughing, the usual. But halfway through dinner, my mom stood up, her hands shaking, her voice trembling. She said, "Before dessert, we need to talk about something. As a family." Forks stopped, chairs shifted, the room went still. I felt a rush of heat in my chest. I didn't know why, but I could feel it. Something big was about to happen, something life-changing. My mom looked at me, then at my brother, then at my sister, and she cried. Not quietly, not softly, but like a dam breaking. She said, "We've been keeping a secret for 32 years. A secret we should have told you when you were old enough. But we didn't. We were scared. And we didn't want to lose you." My breath stopped. My brother's jaw clenched. Like he already knew. Like he had always known. Or suspected. My sister grabbed my hand under the table. Her palm was cold. Ice cold. My mom wiped her tears. And whispered, "It's about you. And who you really are. And where you really came from." I felt the floor tilt. Like gravity shifted. Like everything inside me broke. She continued, her voice cracking with every word. "You're not biologically ours. We adopted you. But the adoption wasn't. It wasn't like you think. It wasn't legal. And your biological family. They weren't strangers." A loud ringing filled my ears. For a moment I couldn't hear. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Everyone around the table stared at me. Some with sympathy. Some with fear. Some with guilt. My mind raced. My heart hammered. I whispered, "What do you mean not legal? What are you saying? What did you do?" My father stood. Silent. Shoulders heavy. Eyes red. A man who rarely cried. A man who suddenly looked small. He said, "There's more. And it's worse than you think." The room felt like it was shrinking. Like the air was getting thinner. My brother suddenly slammed his plate down. He stood. Face red. Eyes furious. He yelled, "Just tell him already. He deserves to know. He should have known years ago." I looked at him. Confused. Hurt. He knew. He knew something I didn't. My father cleared his throat. Voice shaking. He said, "You weren't supposed to come to us. You were supposed to go to someone else. To your real family. But things got complicated. And we made a choice. A selfish 1 inch." I felt like the world was breaking beneath me. My mom sobbed. "It was your aunt. She wanted you. You were supposed to be with her. But we took you instead. Without telling her. We thought we could give you a better life. And by the time she found out, it was too late. You had already bonded with us. And we were terrified of losing you. So we lied. We hid everything. For decades." My hands were shaking. My vision blurred. The people I trusted. The people who raised me. The people I loved. They stole me. From my own family. I stood up too fast. My chair scraped the floor. Everyone jumped. I whispered, barely breathing, "You kidnapped me. You stole me. From my real parents." My father cried, "We didn't steal you. We saved you." My brother spat back, "No, you didn't. You ruined everything. Especially for him." Emma squeezed my arm, eyes full of tears. She whispered, "We didn't know either. We found out only 5 years ago. But Mom and Dad begged us not to tell you. They said you weren't ready. They said it would destroy you. But keeping it in, keeping it from you, it destroyed us instead." My legs felt weak. My chest tight. Like my entire life. Every memory, every hug, every moment, was suddenly twisted, distorted, false. I stumbled backward. Everyone reached for me. But I didn't want their hands, their touch, their comfort. I didn't know who they were anymore. I walked outside, into the cold night air. The mountains silent. The sky dark. My heart breaking. The door opened behind me. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. It was my aunt. The one who should have raised me. The one I never knew. The one who had been in the lodge the whole time. Watching. Waiting. When she finally spoke, her voice shattered me. She whispered, "You were supposed to be mine. And I never stopped waiting for you." She stood a few feet away from me. Hands trembling. Eyes glossy with years of pain she never released. She was smaller than I remembered from childhood. Quieter. Softer. But her presence, her energy, it hit me in the chest like a memory I didn't know I had. She whispered again, "You were supposed to grow up in my home. You were supposed to know my voice. You were supposed to eat at my table. You were supposed to be mine." Her words sank into me. Slow, heavy, sharp, each one cutting deeper. Each one revealing another layer of truth I wasn't ready for. I stared at her, my throat tightening. "You knew." She nodded slowly, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I knew from the beginning. I fought for you. I begged for you. But your parents took you. And everyone told me to let it go. To move on." "But how do you accept losing a child who was meant for you?" Her voice cracked. "I never did. Not for one day." I pressed my palms against my forehead, trying to breathe, trying to think, trying to make sense of this impossible reality. "You all lied to me. My entire life was a lie." She shook her head gently. "No, not a lie. Just incomplete. But that doesn't make the pain any less real. I know that." In the distance, the laughter of kids faded. The smell of barbecue lingered. The soft music inside became muffled. But everything around me felt unreal. Like I was standing in someone else's story. My aunt took a small step closer, but stopped, like she was afraid I'd break if she moved too fast. She whispered, "I never wanted to take you away from the life you built. But you deserved the truth. You deserved it years ago." I turned my face away, because looking at her felt like looking at a ghost of the life I was supposed to have, a life I never knew existed. My chest hurt, not the kind of pain you can hold, but the kind that breaks you from the inside. Slowly, quietly, mercilessly, I finally managed to speak. "What happened? Why did they take me? Why didn't you fight harder?" Her breath caught, and she wiped her tears before they could fall again. "It wasn't your fault. None of it was. It was your birth mother. She trusted me. She trusted me more than anyone. And she asked me to take you. She wasn't ready. She wasn't healthy. She wanted you to grow up safe, loved, protected. I promised her I would. But then your parents stepped in. They convinced the social worker that they were better suited, more stable, more prepared. And by the time everything was sorted, you were already with them. And they refused to give you back." My heart dropped. My knees almost buckled. My birth mother. She wanted me. My aunt's face crumpled. Yes, she wanted you. More than anything. She made the hardest choice of her life. And she trusted me to carry it out. But I failed her. I failed you. And it broke her. The ground beneath me felt unstable, like I was standing on the edge of something deep, something irreversible. Inside the lodge, I could hear voices rising. My mother crying. My father arguing. My brother yelling again. The whole reunion collapsing under the weight of the truth. My aunt looked back toward the noise, then at me. Her eyes soft, gentle, hurting. "They're not bad people. They made a desperate choice. A selfish one. But they loved you. They still do. They just didn't know how to do the right thing. At least not then." I shook my head, my jaw trembling. How am I supposed to forgive that? How am I supposed to look at them again? She stepped closer, close enough that I could see her heartbreak in her eyes, close enough that I could feel her presence wrapping around me like a memory I didn't have. She whispered, "You don't have to forgive them today, or tomorrow, or ever. But you deserve to know who you are, and where you come from, before you decide what comes next." A single tear fell down my cheek. Hot, heavy. I didn't wipe it away. She took a slow breath, then said words that made my whole world tilt again. "Your birth mother didn't just leave. She didn't disappear. She's been looking for you. For years. She's still alive. And she's here. Right now. At the reunion." I froze. My heart stopped. My breath caught in my throat. "What do you mean? She's here? Here where?" My aunt pointed toward the far end of the lodge. Past the trees. Past the cars. Past the flickering porch light. Where a shadow stood alone. Still. Quiet. Waiting. She's been waiting all evening. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting to see if you wanted to see her. Waiting for you. My entire body trembled. Fear. Shock. Hope. Pain. All crashing into each other at the same time. My mind raced. My chest ached. My legs felt weak. My aunt whispered, "It's your choice. No one will force you. If you don't want to see her, she'll leave. No questions. No pressure." She promised that. I stared at the silhouette in the darkness. A figure whose blood I carried. A figure who gave me life. And lost me. And searched for me. And finally found me. I closed my eyes. Took a shaking breath. And whispered, I want to see her." My aunt squeezed my arm gently, then stepped aside. The shadow in the distance moved, slowly, carefully, as if approaching a wounded animal, as if afraid I might disappear. And as she stepped into the faint porch light, I saw her face, and everything inside me cracked open. She stepped slowly into the light, her movements careful, almost fragile, like she was afraid that getting too close might break me, or maybe break herself. The porch light flickered above her, soft and warm, revealing her face piece by piece. First her eyes, then her trembling mouth, then the lines on her cheeks, carved by years of waiting, years of searching. Years of hurting. I felt my breath leave my body, like someone punched the air out of my chest, because something inside me recognized her. Something deep, something old, something I never knew existed, but lived in me anyway. She whispered my name. Not loud, not bold, just soft, like a prayer she'd said 1,000 times alone, in quiet rooms, in long nights, in moments she thought she'd never find me. The sound of it, coming from her, hit me so hard my knees almost buckled. I didn't answer. Couldn't. My throat closed. My heart pounded. My hands shook. 'Cause I didn't know who she was. But I knew she mattered. More than anything. She took one slow step closer. Her eyes never leaving mine. They were warm, brown, full of guilt, full of love, full of stories I never heard. She whispered, "I've waited so long to see you again. Longer than you know. Longer than you can imagine." I swallowed hard. My voice cracked as I finally spoke. "You're my mother?" A tear escaped down her cheek. She nodded. Not with pride. Not with confidence. But with fear. Fear that I might hate her. Reject her. Turn away. Her voice trembled. I'm your mother. And I never stopped being your mother. Not even when they told me it was over. Not even when they said you'd be better without me. Because you were always mine. Always. My chest tightened. My eyes burned. I didn't move. Couldn't move. I didn't know if I should reach for her. Or run from her. Or collapse into her arms. She wiped her tears quickly. As if she didn't deserve to cry in front of me. She whispered, "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to understand. I don't expect you to love me. I just needed to see you. At least once. To know you were okay. To know you grew up strong. Safe. Loved. That's all I wanted." My voice cracked. "You gave me up. Why?" Her entire face twisted with pain. Not the dramatic kind. Not loud grief. But the quiet kind. The kind that eats you alive from the inside. She took another step closer. Close enough that I could see her shaking. Close enough to see the regret etched into every feature. "I didn't give you up because I didn't want you. I gave you up because I loved you. Because I was young, sick, alone, and scared. And I wanted you to have a life I couldn't give you. I trusted my sister. I trusted her with everything. I trusted her with you." She took a breath that hurt to hear. "But she wasn't the one who got you. Your parents. They stepped in. They convinced the social worker. They convinced everyone. And I was too broken to fight. Too damaged. Too overwhelmed. But I never stopped wanting you. Not for a single day." I shook my head. Tears finally spilling. "You should have found me. You should have tried harder. You should have come back for me." Her lips trembled. "I did try. I tried for years. I wrote letters. I made calls. I searched online. I went to the agency. I begged. I screamed. I broke. But every door stayed closed. Everything was sealed. Everything was gone. I had no rights. No access. Nothing." She wiped her face again. More tears falling. She didn't hide them this time. "I thought you hated me. I thought you'd forgotten me. I thought you were living a happy life without me. But I never stopped praying for you. I never stopped loving you. You were the one thing in my life I never let go of. Not even when the world told me to." I looked away. The night air cold on my face. Because hearing her pain, hearing her story, hearing her truth, was almost too much to carry. She whispered behind me, "I know this hurts. I know this ruins everything. I know this destroys the life you thought you had. And I'm so sorry. I never wanted this. I never wanted you to hurt. I only wanted you safe." Then her voice cracked completely. "I just wanted to be your mother. Even if it was only for one moment. Even if that moment was tonight." I turned back toward her. Slow. Unsure. My heart thundering. Her eyes glowed with hope. And fear. And love. So much love. I whispered, barely breathing, "What do you want from me?" She shook her head. Nothing demanding. Nothing desperate. Just honest. Raw. Human. "I don't want anything. I don't want money. I don't want forgiveness. I don't want a place in your life if you don't want me there. I just want you to know the truth. To know you were wanted. To know you were loved. From the very beginning. To know you weren't abandoned. You were protected. Even if it was done in the wrong way. My chest ached. A deep, slow ache. The kind that comes from breaking open. And then she whispered the one thing. The one sentence. That tore me apart. I just want you to know. You have a whole family. A real family. Ready to meet you. Whenever you're ready. I froze. The world around me froze. The lodge. The voices. The trees. Everything. I whispered. My real family is here? She nodded. Tears falling again. Yes. They came. All of them. Your grandparents. Your cousins. Your uncles. They've waited years to know you. They've waited years to have you back. They're inside. They're waiting. Right now. My breath caught. My vision blurred. My heart crashed in my chest. I whispered. I can't. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know who I am anymore. Not touching. Just offering. Just hoping. You don't have to know. Not tonight. Not tomorrow. Not next month. You can take all the time you need. But you're not alone. Not anymore. I stared at her hand. At her trembling fingers. At the woman who gave me life. At the woman who lost me. At the woman who found me again. And slowly, very slowly, my hand rose toward hers. Not fully. Not completely. Just enough. For our fingertips to touch. Small. Electric. Shattering touch. Her breath caught. Her eyes widened. Her knees almost buckled from the emotion. And in that moment, everything broke. And everything began. The moment our fingertips touched. It felt like every unanswered question in my life cracked open at once. Every missing piece. Every strange ache. Every feeling of not belonging. Every childhood moment where something felt off. All of it rushed back. And it hurt. So deeply. So quietly. So completely. She didn't grab my hand. She didn't pull me toward her. She just let the connection sit there. Fragile. Trembling. Scared. Like both of us were afraid to breathe too hard and break it. Her voice came out in a shaky whisper. You don't have to choose anything tonight. You don't have to decide if you forgive me. Or if you hate me. Or if you ever want to see me again. But please. Let me look at you. Just a little longer. I swallowed. Hard. My throat felt tight. My eyes burned. But I didn't pull away. Because a part of me, a small buried part, had waited my whole life for someone to hold me like this. Even if it was only through the touch of fingertips. She studied my face. Her eyes scanning every line. Every angle. As if memorizing me. As if afraid I might disappear again. You look like your grandfather. He has those same serious eyes. Like he's thinking 10 steps ahead. You have my smile though. At least when you let yourself smile. And your hair. God. You used to have curls when you were a baby. You'd grab them and pull and laugh. You were so loud. You were always loud. Even before you could talk. And I missed all of it. I missed everything. Your first haircut. Your first steps. Your first day of school. Your first heartbreak. Everything. And I hate myself for it. Every single day. I hate myself for not fighting harder. For not being stronger. For letting them take you from me. My heart twisted. Her pain wasn't easy to watch. It was raw. Ugly. Real. The kind of pain nobody fakes. I took a slow breath. Then whispered. Why are they here? Why did all of them come? She blinked. Wiped tears from her cheeks. They came because they wanted to see you. Not to take you. Not to pull you away. Not to make you choose. But to show you that you weren't forgotten. Not for a single day. We never had a birthday without saying your name. We never had a Christmas without leaving one empty spot. Just in case. We always hoped you'd find us. Or we'd find you. We just never thought it would be here. Like this. I looked toward the lodge. The lights glowing warm through the windows. People moving inside. Voices rising. The chaos of a family falling apart. And another waiting to be found. Felt impossible. Like two worlds were pulling me in opposite directions. Each one demanding a piece of me. each one claiming me, each one saying, "You're ours." A sudden burst of yelling came from inside. Loud, sharp, familiar. My father's voice. My brother's. My mother's crying. The sound of everything breaking. My birth mother flinched. She looked down, her hands twisting together. "I shouldn't have come inside earlier. I shouldn't have let your aunt convince me to walk in. It wasn't the time. I made everything worse. I needed to see you. I've waited so long. Too long. And I promise, I won't step foot inside again if you don't want me to. Just say the word. I'll leave right now. I'll disappear again. Whatever keeps you safe." I shook my head quickly. "No. Don't go. I don't know what I want. But I don't want you to leave. Not yet." Something in her face lit up. Not joy. Not relief. Something softer. Something careful. Like hope. She asked quietly, "Can I come a little closer?" I hesitated, my heart pounding, my chest tight, but I nodded. She stepped toward me, slow, gentle, stopping only a foot away, close enough that I could feel her warmth, close enough that I could see the fear in her eyes. She whispered, "I dreamed of this moment for years, and now that it's here, I'm scared to death." I let out a shaky breath. "So am I." A faint sad smile touched her lips, and for a split second, I saw myself in her. The shape of her face, the angle of her jaw, the way her mouth curved when she was hurting. It was like looking at an echo of myself. She reached out her hand, slowly, so slowly, and when she finally touched my cheek, her fingers trembled. Her touch was warm, gentle, shaking with emotion she couldn't hide. She whispered, "Oh my God. You're real. You're really here. I've imagined this moment so many times, but nothing compares to this. Nothing." Her tears fell onto her wrist, onto my face, onto a moment so fragile it felt like it could shatter with one wrong breath. I closed my eyes. For the first time, I didn't pull away. Inside the lodge, the arguing grew louder. My mother's voice broke. My father shouted. My brother cursed. Everyone inside felt like they were falling apart. And somehow, that made me cling even tighter to the moment in front of me. I whispered, "Tell me the truth. All of it. Every part. No matter how bad it is. No matter how much it hurts. I want to know everything. Everything you've never told anyone." She froze. Her breath caught. Her hand dropped from my cheek. She whispered, "There's more. So much more. And it's worse than you think." I stared at her, my stomach twisting. "What else is there?" She looked toward the lodge, toward the family that took me, then back at me, her face pale, her eyes full of fear. "There's something you don't know. Something they never told you. Something they never told me either. Not until years later. You weren't taken by accident. You weren't taken out of desperation. You were taken. Wanted to keep you. For a reason you never knew existed." My heart dropped. My chest tightened. My vision blurred. I whispered, "What reason?" She swallowed, her voice breaking. "It was never about love. It was never about giving you a better life. It was about something else. Something darker. Something none of us saw coming." I felt my entire world tilt. My breath vanish. "What are you saying?" She looked me in the eyes, her voice trembling. "I'm saying, you were taken, because someone inside that house needed you, for a secret, that would destroy everything. If it ever came out." I woke up with a heavy feeling in my chest. The argument from last night replayed in my mind over and over. I kept wondering how things got so bad in a home I helped build with my own sacrifices. I had given so much of my life to this family, yet I still felt unseen. All I ever wanted was simple acknowledgement for everything I had done. I never wanted anything more than fairness and respect. The thought of being taken for granted made my eyes sting. But life does not pause even when your heart hurts deeply. I pushed myself out of bed and walked toward the kitchen slowly. The silence inside the house felt heavy, like thick air I could not breathe through. My mother sat at the table stirring her tea with her head lowered. My father sat across from her pretending to read the newspaper. I knew he had been waiting for me to come in. When he finally looked up, his eyes were tired and filled with regret. He cleared his throat like the words were stuck inside him. He said he thought about everything all night. He said he realized he had ignored too many things for too long. He admitted he never meant to make me feel invisible. He said he knew I had carried this family on my back for years. His voice cracked when he said he was sorry. Hearing that made my chest tighten because he had never said anything like that before. I sat down slowly, trying to steady my emotions. I told him I did not. I said I only wanted honesty, fairness, and a place where I felt valued. My mother finally lifted her eyes and they were filled with tears. She said she never meant to hurt me. She said she thought I was strong enough to handle anything. She said she gave the house to my sister because she believed my sister needed more support. Hearing that hit me deeply because it showed how misunderstood I had always been. I told her strength does not mean someone should be overloaded. I told her responsibility does not mean someone should be taken for granted. She nodded slowly like she finally understood something she should have seen years ago. Just then my sister walked in quietly from the hallway. Her expression showed she had heard most of the conversation. She looked conflicted and guilty at the same time. She said she never asked for the house, but she never refused it. She said she was scared she would not survive on her own. Her confession softened some of the anger inside me. I realized she was living under a different kind of fear. I never hated her, I only hated the imbalance that grew between us. She stepped closer and said she wanted to fix things. She said she wanted me to feel like I had a place in this home too. She said she valued everything I had done over the years. Her honesty made the last wall inside me crumble a little. My father said we needed to revisit the property decision together. He said he wanted to make things equal and fair for everyone. He said we would sit down later as a family and decide what was right. For the first time in days, I felt a small breath of relief. I stepped outside to get some air because my emotions were too full. The cold wind touched my face and I closed my eyes for a moment. It felt like the first peaceful breath I had taken in a long time. I knew the healing would take time. I knew things would not magically fix overnight. But they finally listened to me, and that was enough to move forward. I whispered to myself that I would never again let my value be overshadowed by anyone, not even by the people I love the most. I walked slowly across the backyard, feeling the cold grass under my feet. It reminded me of all the summers we spent here laughing without tension. Back then life felt simple and family felt safe. I wished for a moment that I could go back to those days before everything cracked open. But the truth was we were finally facing everything that had been buried for years. And that made this pain feel necessary. I sat on the old wooden bench near the fence and took a deep breath. The morning sun felt warm on my face like a small quiet comfort after a storm. I closed my eyes and let my thoughts settle into a heavy calm. I knew I had always been the one to sacrifice the most. Not because I wanted praise, but because I wanted our family to stay strong. But now I understood that silent sacrifices often turn into silent wounds. I stood up slowly when I heard the back door open. My father stepped outside and walked toward me with tired shoulders. He looked older today, like the truth from last night had aged him overnight. He sat beside me, leaving a respectful space as if he was afraid to push too close. He said he had a lot to say, but he did not know where to start. I told him he could take his time because I had waited years for this moment. He nodded and let out a long breath like he had been holding it for decades. He said he grew up in a home where the oldest child carried everything without question. He said he never realized he was repeating the same pattern with me. He said he thought giving everything to my sister was protecting her and balancing the load. But instead it created a mountain on my shoulders that he never meant to put there. Hearing him admit that felt like a painful relief. I told him the weight was heavy, but the silence was heavier. I told him I would have spoken earlier, but I never wanted to be the cause of a fight. He looked at me. He said he wished I had trusted him enough to speak sooner. I said I wished he had seen my efforts without needing me to bleed for them. We both sat there silently, letting the truth sit between us. He finally placed his hand on my shoulder gently. He said he loved me deeply. He said he was proud of me even if he failed to show it. I felt my throat tighten because I had waited my whole life to hear that. Before I could respond, my sister stepped outside. Her eyes looked swollen from crying, but her expression looked determined. She said she wanted to talk to both of us honestly without fear for once. She sat on the other side of me and folded her hands nervously. She said she had always admired me, but she also felt compared to me every day. She said she always felt like the weaker child and she was ashamed of it. She said when our parents offered her the house she felt chosen. She said it made her feel like she finally mattered. Her voice cracked as she said she knew it was wrong but she was scared to refuse. I looked at her and for the first time I understood the fear she had carried all her life. I told her I never wanted her to feel less than me. I told her I only wanted fairness, not favoritism. She reached for my hand slowly like she was afraid I would pull away. I let her hold it because anger had no place left inside me now. She said she wanted us to make a new plan together. A plan where we all felt secure and valued without anyone losing. My father nodded firmly as if a decision had settled in his heart. He said he wanted everything to be equal from now on. He said the house would not belong to a single person anymore. He said we would create a shared solution that protected the whole family. Hearing that felt like a weight lifting from my chest. For the first time our family was not fighting or breaking apart. We were trying to rebuild with honesty. We walked back inside together slowly like people learning how. My mother waited at the table with red eyes and a trembling smile. She asked if we were ready to talk as a family, not as enemies. We all nodded and sat down together. It felt fragile but hopeful. She said she wanted to listen without defending herself for the first time. She said she wanted to understand who we were, not who she assumed we were. Her voice shook but there was sincerity in every word. I realized we were beginning something new, something we had needed for years. The discussion continued for hours and every word felt like opening a new wound and cleaning it. It hurt but it healed too. When the sun began to set, the tension in the house felt lighter. My father said this reunion would be remembered not for the fight but for the truth. I knew he was right. The truth exploded but it cleared a path we never had before. And I finally felt seen. And I finally felt heard. And for the first time in my life I felt like the family was beginning to understand who I truly was. The truth can break a family but it can also rebuild it. Silence may feel easier but it slowly destroys the heart. Speaking up is not disrespect, it is self-respect. Sacrifice should never be mistaken for endless strength. Every person deserves to feel valued in their own home. Fairness is the foundation that keeps families from falling apart. Love is not real unless it is supported by honesty. Healing begins when everyone is willing to listen, not just talk. Change can come even after years of hurt. No family is perfect, but a family can choose to grow instead of repeat the same mistakes. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is courage. Standing up for yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. Respect should be equal no matter who gives more or who needs more. A reunion is not just about gathering bodies, it is about understanding hearts. When the truth finally comes out, it can hurt, but it also sets the path for a better future. Real love survives only when people stop hiding. In the end, the family that chooses truth over comfort becomes stronger than the storm that almost destroyed them.